I've sat in both cabs, run both machines hard. And the dealer will never tell you what I'm about to tell you, because if he did, you might not sign that paperwork. Right now in 2026, these two tractors are sitting in dealership lots across the Corn Belt, and both of them look real good when you're standing next to them. The Case IH Magnum 400 is stickered at roughly $350,000 to $420,000 depending on configuration. The John Deere 7R 350 is coming in at $320,000 to $390,000 in a comparable setup. That $30,000 to $40,000 gap between them is the first number you need to burn into your brain before you even think about test driving either one. The gap either earns itself back over 7 years of ownership, or it doesn't. And figuring out which one it is for your specific operation. That's exactly what we're doing today on Farm Gear Pro. No brand loyalty, no dealer spin, just the numbers that actually matter when you're trying to protect your margin in a year where there isn't much margin left to play with. And I'll tell you right now, the answer isn't what most guys walking into a dealership expect to hear. So stay with me, because this gets real interesting real fast. Let me talk about the horsepower difference first, because I know that's what half of you clicked on this for. The Magnum 400 is rated at 400 engine horsepower. The 7R 350 comes in at 350. That's a real 50 horsepower gap, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. In heavy tillage, running a large strip till unit in tough clay ground, pulling serious vertical tillage iron at depth in the fall, you are going to feel that difference on your hardest days. The Magnum pulls cleaner, holds ground speed better, and stresses its drivetrain less in those peak demand situations. That's real, and that matters if heavy tillage is a significant part of your operations workload. But here's the question I want you to answer honestly before you let that horsepower number make your decision. How many hours per season are you actually running at or near full load where that 50 horsepower genuinely shows up and makes a difference you can feel? Because every single hour you're running that bigger engine at partial load, you're burning fuel for power you're not using. You're paying for capability you're not accessing. And fuel cost over a full ownership cycle is where this comparison gets really interesting, really fast. And where a lot of guys who bought based on horsepower start doing the math and getting uncomfortable. Both machines run Tier 4 final emissions compliant engines with DEF systems and SCR technology in 2026. Anybody who's owned a modern high-horsepower tractor knows those emission systems are a whole conversation by themselves when it comes to long-term operating cost and occasional headaches in the field. Neither machine gets a pass on that, and we'll come back to that when we talk total ownership cost. But on straight fuel consumption across a realistic mixed-duty farm workload, planting, primary tillage, harvest support, the full range of what a primary tractor does across a season, independent operator data and university tractor test results consistently show the 7R platform performing competitively on fuel consumption per PTO horsepower hour in mixed conditions. The Magnum's larger displacement engine shows strong efficiency right at its power peak under heavy sustained load. That's where it was designed to shine, and it does. But in lighter duty applications, where that big engine is running well below its power curve, and on most operations that's a meaningful portion of total annual hours, that efficiency advantage narrows considerably. On a 500-hour season, which is a reasonable workload for a primary tractor on a 2,000-acre operation, even a half-gallon per hour average fuel consumption difference between these two machines across their full duty cycle adds up to 250 gallons of diesel per year. With on-farm diesel running 320 to 360 across most of the US in early 2026, that's $800 to $900 per year in additional fuel cost. Over 7 years of ownership, that's $5,600 to $6,300 sitting right there before you've counted anything else. Not a farm-ending number on its own, but it's real money, and it's part of a picture that keeps adding up the longer you look at it. Now here's the part of this fuel conversation that almost nobody talks about openly. And it's the part that actually changes how you think about both of these machines when you're trying to figure out which one genuinely wins on efficiency across a real working season. It's not just how much fuel the engine burns in isolation. It's how the transmission manages power delivery and ground speed across your full range of field conditions throughout the day. Because that relationship between engine load and transmission efficiency is what determines how well the engine is actually operating across a real mixed-duty workload. The Magnum 400 runs the CVX drive continuously variable transmission, a full CVT that gives you seamless, infinitely variable ground speed control from essentially zero to field speed without any power interruption or shift feel whatsoever. It's mature, proven technology at this point, been in the Magnum line for years, and operators who run it in planting applications especially appreciate the ability to make very precise, fine ground speed adjustments to hit their exact population and singulation targets without any shift event or power dip affecting seed placement. The John Deere 7R350 comes with the command quad or the optional direct drive, depending on how you configure it. The direct drive is a smooth, well-calibrated automated power shift that the vast majority of operators find intuitive and completely transparent in day-to-day operation. Both transmissions are genuinely capable. Neither one is a weak point on either machine. But if precise, continuous ground speed management in planting applications is truly critical to your operation's yield goals, the CVX drive does give you a real mechanical advantage in that specific situation that operators running high-speed planters with tight population targets value highly. Others who are running at more conventional planting speeds honestly may never notice a meaningful difference between the two. Hydraulics is the other area where these machines differ in ways that matter depending specifically on what implements you're running behind them. The Magnum 400 in its top configuration offers up to 180 gallons per minute of hydraulic flow, which is serious capacity for running large demanding implements with multiple hydraulic circuits simultaneously. The 7R350 comes in at a strong hydraulic output that handles the vast majority of row crop implement requirements without any issue in normal operation. If you're running a large folding planter with multiple hydraulic fold, down pressure and marker circuits, or a demanding strip-till unit with aggressive hydraulic requirements, the Magnum's hydraulic capacity is a functional real-world advantage you'll feel on those specific implements. If you're running a more conventional row crop implement lineup, that hydraulic difference is genuinely unlikely to show up in your daily operation in any way that affects your productivity or your bottom line. Right here. If Farm Gear Pro is giving you the straight, honest breakdown you've been looking for, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. We do this every single week. Real specs, real 2026 numbers, zero dealer spin, zero brand loyalty. Share this with a farmer you know who's sitting on this exact tractor decision right now, because this is one of the most common questions we get at Farm Gear Pro, and the answer genuinely matters to your operation's financial health for the next decade. Now let's get into precision ag integration and total ownership cost, because this is where the real money decision actually lives, and where most guys are leaving serious dollars on the table without realizing it. Precision ag integration in 2026 is not optional equipment on a serious operation anymore. It's a core part of how these machines earn their keep every single season, and how you manage your operation's data from planting all the way through harvest. And this is the part of the comparison where your current technology situation on your specific operation matters more than any individual spec on either tractor. John Deere's Operations Center platform is the most widely adopted farm management system in U.S. production agriculture right now by a significant margin. The machine integration, the data connectivity, the agronomic software compatibility with third-party programs, it's genuinely strong. And if you're already running John Deere displays, receivers, and software subscriptions across your operation, the 7R350 slots directly into your existing infrastructure without any friction at all. Case IH's AFS Connect platform has improved significantly over the past several years, and in 2026 offers solid machine monitoring, remote diagnostics, field data management, and operator alert capability that competes credibly with the Deere platform for most operators' day-to-day needs. But here's what I want you to think about, honestly, if you're currently running a John Deere Precision Ag ecosystem, and you're considering switching to the Magnum, sit down and actually calculate the real cost of transitioning your Precision Ag infrastructure before you make that decision. New displays, new receivers, new software subscriptions, compatibility issues with your existing field data and agronomic records, dealer technology support learning curve. That transition cost is real, it's often significant, and most people never put an actual dollar number on it when they're standing at a dealer comparing sticker prices. They absolutely should, because that number can close the purchase price gap between these two machines faster than you'd expect. Now let's talk total cost of ownership, because this is the number that actually determines which machine genuinely wins on profit over a full 7-year ownership cycle. And it's the conversation your equipment dealer is never going to initiate with you across that desk. The purchase price is just the beginning of the financial relationship you're entering into with either one of these machines. Asset depreciation, fuel consumption, scheduled maintenance, unscheduled repair, and the cost of any downtime during critical field operations like planting and harvest. All of that adds up to a total cost picture that looks very different from the sticker price comparison you started with when you walked in the door. On depreciation, John Deere iron historically holds its resale value well in the used equipment market, and that reputation is largely earned. Strong nationwide dealer network, high parts availability, broad operator familiarity across every geography. All of that supports used market demand that has stayed competitive even through the general market softening of the past couple years as the post-pandemic equipment bubble has deflated. Case IH Magnum series machines hold their value respectably as well and have a genuinely loyal operator base that keeps used market demand real and consistent. The honest truth in 2026 is that John Deere's resale advantage over Case IH is real, but it is narrower than the brand mythology sometimes suggests. Particularly when you're comparing well-maintained low-hour machines from either manufacturer with clean service records. If you take care of either machine properly, maintain your documentation, and trade at a smart point in the depreciation curve, both machines can absolutely be managed to a competitive cost per hour of ownership across a full cycle. On maintenance and repair, and this is genuinely the part I want you to pay the closest attention to in this entire comparison, both machines in 2026 run complex Tier 4 final emission systems with DEF fluid requirements, DPF regeneration cycles, and SCR catalyst components that require regular attention and can generate significant unscheduled repair costs over a long ownership cycle if something goes wrong. Neither manufacturer gets a free pass on emissions system-related service costs, and any dealer or salesperson who tells you otherwise isn't being straight with you. Parts availability, and most importantly, dealer service department quality, vary dramatically depending on your geography. And this single factor is genuinely one of the most important variables in your total ownership cost equation that no spec sheet anywhere will ever quantify for you. The quality of your local dealer's service operation, their parts inventory depth on common wear items and critical components, their technician availability and diagnostic capability, their genuine ability and willingness to prioritize getting you back in the field quickly when something fails at 6 a.m. on the first morning of planting or during the second week of harvest. That responsive dealer relationship is worth thousands of dollars per season on a working operation. It is worth more to your bottom line than a half-gallon per hour fuel savings advantage. It is worth more than a $5,000 purchase price difference. And that answer is completely different in every county in America. The dealer sitting between you and the field when something breaks is the variable that no YouTube video can answer for your specific situation. Only you know which dealer in your area you can actually count on. Here at Farm Gear Pro, we get this specific comparison question more than almost any other tractor question we receive. And we get it because it's genuinely one of the most consequential equipment decisions a serious row crop operator can make in 2026. A machine at this price point and this capability level is going to sit on your balance sheet for 7 to 10 years, affect your operating expenses every single season you run it, influence your lender's view of your asset base, and determine a significant portion of your operation's productivity during every critical field window for the better part of a decade. That's not a decision that deserves to be made based on brand loyalty or dealership coffee and a handshake. The Magnum 400 wins the raw horsepower argument by a clear margin. It wins the hydraulic capacity argument for high-demand implement applications. It wins the CVX drive transmission argument for operators who genuinely value infinite ground speed variability in precision planting situations. For operators running heavy, demanding large-scale tillage applications on significant acre bases in tough soil conditions, that combination of mechanical advantage is real, it's meaningful, and it justifies the price premium for the right operation. The 7R350 wins the precision ag ecosystem argument for the large majority of US row crop operators who are already invested in John Deere's infrastructure. It wins the entry price argument by $30,000 to $40,000 in comparable configurations, and that is real capital that a smart operator can deploy somewhere else in their operation instead of leaving it on a dealership lot. For operators running a conventional row crop implement lineup where that 50 horsepower gap never genuinely shows up in daily operation in a way that affects productivity, the 7R350 delivers competitive fuel efficiency, strong proven resale value, and seamless technology integration at a meaningfully lower initial capital commitment. That combination is hard to argue with for the right operation. The bottom line in 2026 is this. Both of these machines are genuinely capable, well-engineered, properly supported tractors that will serve a serious row crop operation well for the next decade if you maintain them right and manage them smartly. The Magnum 400 is the right answer if your operation genuinely needs maximum horsepower and hydraulic capacity for heavy demanding applications, if your local Case IH dealer has a service department you can honestly count on, and if the CVX drive's precision ground speed management aligns with how you run your planting operation. The 7R350 is the right answer if you're running a conventional row crop implement lineup where that 50 horsepower gap doesn't meaningfully show up if you're already deep in John Deere's precision ag ecosystem, and if you want to put that $30,000 to $40,000 price difference to work somewhere else in your operating expenses instead of leaving it sitting on a dealer's lot. Neither machine is a wrong answer for a well-run, disciplined operation, but one of them is a better answer for your specific operation. And the way you figure out which one it is has absolutely nothing to do with what color your dad ran or what the guy at the elevator said over coffee last fall. It has everything to do with your actual acres, your specific implement lineup, your soil conditions, your existing technology infrastructure, and the dealer who is going to be sitting between you and the field when something goes wrong at the worst possible moment. You've got all the information now. Make the call that's right for your operation, not somebody else's. Thanks for watching Farm Gear Pro. If you found this breakdown valuable, share it with a fellow farmer and comment below your thoughts on this topic. See you in the next one.